So Elon Musk just exposed Twitter, and it's honestly insane. So if you didn't know, over the last couple months or so, Elon Musk has taken over Twitter. He bought out the company for like $40 billion. And since he took over, he started getting access to all these little programs that were in Twitter. And actually, he just recently started going out with the Twitter files. And it's honestly one of the most insane stories we'd had to cover here on the channel. This is like corruption to the very peak, like corruption from the presidents of the United States, more than one, believe it or not, at the highest level. These are leaders of the free world, and even they're corrupt, and this is honestly really scary. Only 18% of the people watching this video right now are actually subscribed to the channel. Don't be part of the 81%. Subscribe to the channel. You have nothing to lose. Elon Musk started putting out these Twitter files by starting out by saying, what you're about to read is the first installment in a series based upon thousands of internal documents obtained by sources at Twitter. The Twitter files tells an incredible story from inside one of the world's largest and most influential social media platforms. It is Frankenstein's tale of human-built mechanization grown out of the control of its designer. Twitter is a concept which was a brilliant tool for enabling instant mass communication, making a real-time global conversation possible for the first time. And an early concept, Twitter more than lived up to its mission statement, giving people the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. As time progressed, however, the company was slowly forced to add those barriers. Some of the first tools included controlling speech, were designed to combat things like spam and financial fraudsters. Slowly over time, Twitter staff and executives began more and more uses for these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech, as well as first a little and then often and then constantly. So this is very worrisome, because as much as some of the people listening to this video right now might not use Twitter, I know me personally, I use Twitter pretty much every single day, and to know that people outside of Twitter were pretty much saying like, hey, we're the people in power, the press speech that we don't like, there's going to be consequences. It's honestly so scary. And we're going to talk about later in the video how multiple different presidents in the White House had their teams connect to Twitter and take down tweets that they didn't like. And that is honestly terrifying if you really think about it. These are people at the very top of the powerarchy, and they're pretty much telling Twitter that, hey, some of this speech is gotta go, and we have the power to make you do whatever we want. And that is terrifying. And it's just unfortunate to see that this is the kind of thing that was happening at Twitter. And like I said, most of you probably don't use Twitter. It's probably like a top 5 social medias in active users. But if this is happening at Twitter, this is happening at every single social media company you can think about. It reminds me of recently I saw the CEO of Instagram talking on his story. Over the last year or so, there was big protests in places like Iran, and a bunch of people were complaining to the Instagram and the CEO, saying that their post about protests, peaceful protests in places like the Middle East were being suppressed. And to know that that was not just probably a glitch, that was very likely conceived by politicians in the Middle East that, actively suppressed their post from talking about peaceful protests. And so if they can do that, they can pretty much do that on every single social media platform. And so, anymore, social media is the town square. If something important is happening through the world, I read about it on social media. I don't read about it, through newspapers anymore. And you know what? It's not just me. Literally billions of people are using the internet, and to be able to control what billions of people are seeing is, it's just too much power for me. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand, someone has to be in control of this kind of thing, but to see politicians at the very top levels, like people in the White White House saying what billions of people can or cannot see is the scariest thing, and it's the most dystopian thing I can honestly think about. And honestly, I'm surprised I haven't heard more people talking about this. Not to get all conspiracy theory or anything, but it's very likely it's not being covered more in the media. It's very likely because they're probably getting money from the people that are doing the corruption, you know, and whether it's media parties that are getting tax break from certain politicians. That's probably why you're not seeing it as covered as much as it should be, because this is one of the most insane exposes Elon Musk has ever shown about Twitter, and it's going to continue happening. In this next screenshot, we show what looks to be a screenshot of internal messages from people working at Twitter. By 2020, requests from connected actors to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another, more to review from the Biden team, then reply would come back with handled. And so in this email, there are like 5 tweets that were sent from the Biden team to be handled and taken down. And you know what? I think a big part of this to note is that no, they weren't just deleted, they were shadow banned, which is much worse because a lot of people don't even think shadow bans exist for some reason, when this is clear evidence they 100% exist. Not only are they being censored, yeah, some of these posts are being taken down, but they're being censored by, less reach. No one will see this now because Twitter team handled it, quote unquote. And this is scary as shit. You know what? This is the kind of stuff that happens in communist China. If this exact same thing was happening in China and the president Xi Jinping was saying like, hey, these tweets aren't okay, take them off Twitter, we'd all be saying, hey, this is unacceptable and this should be illegal, and they're, removing people's human rights. But it's happening in places like America, and you know what, no one's calling it out. I mean, hell, the news story isn't even picking this crap up. I mean, probably the most news story is stupid celebrities or some garbage like that. Like, this is the biggest story of probably the entire year, and I don't see anyone talking about it. And you know what, it's probably because they're getting paid, if we're going to be completely honest. And I think the most unfortunate part about this is that, yeah, a lot of Republicans and like right-leaning political people want to be like, hey, this is evidence that what we've been saying over the last couple of years, that hey, the Twitter executives are they're suppressing Republican or conservative views. And yes, that's completely true. However, conservatives and Republicans have had their hand in the cookie jar too. It looks like not only Democrats like the Biden team were actually trying to suppress tweets, but also people from the Trump White House were apparently sending out requests to be taken crap down, which is honestly it honestly makes me like almost nauseous to think that not only, it's not like one, I mean, to be honest, I kind of knew this. I mean, the people at both levels of top power are obviously corrupt, and especially in America when they're in control of trillions of dollars. I mean, hell, I'd probably be corrupt too if I could press a button and send $10 billion to whoever I wanted, you know what I mean? But it looks like the Republicans definitely didn't have as much of a pull. If I'm showing this in the screenshot, it looks like whoever had more ins were, the people doing more suppressing, and it looks like more people at Twitter were left-leaning, so they had more connections with Democrats than the right. But that still doesn't mean that Democrats weren't doing it, and that is just, it's honestly really disgusting. And I'd like to see if people are will switch how they view Trump, because a lot of people are like hardcore Trump supporters, and to see that Trump was a part of this quote unquote swamp that he was constantly trying to get rid of, or at least he said he wanted to get rid of. He was not only completely in it, but he also helped fund his team that was exactly part of the swamp. The people that are censoring speech and not allowing people to disagree with them on the internet it's fucking scary, man. And I mean, I think, like I said, I think this is one of the biggest stories of the entire year, that not only Democrats, like people in power right now, like Joe Biden, were sending his team to suppress tweets on Twitter, but also it's probably happening over all social medias, if we're going to be completely honest. Like Mark Zuckerberg obviously isn't going to tell us that he's taking money from Republicans and Democrats to keep things that they don't like on the low, but it's 100% happening. I mean, if it's happening on Twitter that has like 500 million billion active users. Do you really think it's not happening on like Instagram and Facebook and TikTok that have like 1 billion active users? It's 100% happening on every single social media platform you can think of, and it's very disgusting. And I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments. Like, do you think this is actively being suppressed? And if you do, what do you think are the next steps? That's just my thoughts. You can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Yesterday we made a video talking about how Amaranth, the big hot tub streamer, received $70,000 as a gift from a fan. Yeah, completely normal behavior. This is a video you're not going to want to miss. Click here to watch it now.